What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be doing a little motor work on the Jeep, and if all goes well this video is going to turn into the first drive on the road for this thing in 21 years. I'm so excited, so let's get into it. So I talked about this at the end of the Star Park Nationals video when I was telling you guys that I was driving the Jeep around the show. Everything was going great in the grass, whatever, and then all of a sudden it just stalled out 100 feet from the trailer to leave and would not start again. We're not idle, wouldn't move, obviously. Everything went terrible. So this past week, 2 weeks, I guess, I've just been diving in the motor, trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Thought I fixed it. I pull it out of the garage. As soon as it gets under load, dies. Just the other day, we did more work. I made it almost around the grass area here, and I had to keep it to the floor to get it to pretty much go 1 mile an hour. And then it died right over there, and we had to push it back in the garage. So I couldn't figure out for the longest time. Now I feel like an idiot because I have the part in the truck that I think is going to fix it. But I took the top off the carb first, blew all the venturis out, took them out, make sure they weren't cracked, cleaned them out with carb cleaner, and then I opened the fuel tank, thought, okay, we got water in the fuel because it rained that night. You know, I haven't had this fuel cell outside of the garage yet. That I think's fine. Maybe there's a couple bubbles, maybe there's a little water in it, not a big deal. But then I pulled the spark plug, and let me show you what I found when I pulled the spark plug. Also, I did the plugs when I first got this thing a year ago. Here's the worst one. I think I got it out. You can't even tell. So it dried up now, but just soaked in gas. It's super fouled out. So yeah, I didn't realize, probably an older mechanic, I'm not old enough to be knowing this stuff, I'm gonna blame it on that, would have known that when mechanical fuel pumps go bad, they let oil or gas go by into your oil. And I pulled the dipstick and the oil reeks of gas. Spark plugs are covered in gas. So I think the fuel pump's bad. I have the third fuel pump to try on this to make sure it fits. But yeah, I feel like an idiot because the fuel pump worked. I put a new tank, all new lines, a new carb, and I just hooked it right up to the fuel pump. And later on, I have the old one in the truck, and I took it apart, and it's just disgusting, and it's full. I wondered why the fuel filter kept getting dirty. It was sucking it from the fuel pump. So yes, I feel like a complete idiot. You guys you call me one because I deserve it. But yeah, we're gonna slap this fuel pump in, and hopefully that solves our problem. The other reason I think it's fuel pump is my dad was out here and he saw the filter that I had before the carb. It would fill all the way up, and then it would kind of just drizzle out. It wasn't pumping enough fuel to the carb. So that's where I think we're at. And just also when we had the plugs out, I put new plugs in already, by the way. Well, we had the plugs out. I've never done a compression test on this, and we did a compression test, and it's between 92 and 95 on every cylinder. I could not believe it. So that's great news. Now I just got to get fuel to it and get the fuel back out of the oil. So I'll have to do an oil change, but we're gonna see if it'll even start up and run on this. So without further ado, I'm gonna get this fuel pump on. I hope we don't even know yet it's in the truck. I'll get that on and we will go from there. Alright boys, update. This video is now converting the AMC 327 to an electric fuel pump because I am done with these things. This is the third pump, and now this one, the arm must be at a different angle or some garbage like that. So it won't go in its home, and I'm annoyed. So yeah, I'm gonna go take this back, get the block off plate, and I think they have an Edelbrock electric pump. It's a good one. I'm gonna get that one. I'm not gonna get a regulator right now, and I'm gonna look for a place to mount this thing, and we're gonna convert it to that because you can't get a pump for this motor because it's so freaking rare. Okay, you can get one, but it's like $200, and I'm not gonna get that. So we're gonna convert it to electric. That's the plan. I'll see you when we start that. Okay guys, so I went and got a block off plate for the mechanical fuel pump, and then we got an Edelbrock electric fuel pump that is, well, it says it's the right PSI and everything for this carb I have on here, and probably kind of the same as what the factory mechanical one was. So hopefully, well, hopefully we don't need a regulator, because that's just more money that I don't want to spend. But so we're gonna get this put on, and then I'll probably just get this put on first, and then we'll mess with the pump, put it back there on the frame. And if we need a regulator, if it's flooding it out or not getting enough fuel, whatever, we'll mess with that later. But for now, we're just gonna get this in. So. So I think I've got a plan here. You can see where our line comes down from the fuel cell. I hope you can see, sorry. Comes down there. There's no, those holes won't work for the pump because it's got this big filter on it. But there's a hole right here in the frame already. I don't really want to drill one if I don't have to, so I'm gonna bolt it, bolt the pump right there, and cut over here, and our nice lines I just ran. I'm gonna get covered in gas, and then I'm gonna hook them up, and that's gonna be our mounting location. I can just get one bolt in it. If it's not enough, I'll drill one hole, not a big deal. But for now, we're gonna throw that one bolt in. Yeah, you guys can't see much, I'm sorry. Throw a rubber line on there, and then just run that straight up. And we can keep some of our nice lines I took my time to run. So the pump's mounted up with an existing hole, and it's actually super secure. So I'm gonna use that other bolt and just go to this hole next to it to ground it, clean it up with a wire brush. And then I have a line cut here. I'm sorry, the sun is just awful right now for you guys. I can't move the Jeep though. So I'm gonna run a line to there, and then I have a cut here, run a line to there, and then we'll run our positive, and this will be done. The pump is in and hooked up. Does not look bad. Now I'll have to get some wire, run the wire, and then we gotta hook up the main line up to the carb, and then this thing should be ready to roll, I hope. So when I made the fuel system, fuel tank video on this, I talked about how I had to run the fuel line under the oil pan, and it really bothered me because I couldn't make the bend and how the factory did it. I just couldn't do it. So I had it run under the oil pan and then hooked up. I had a rubber line run under the oil pan, hooked up to the mechanical fuel pump, how they had it when I bought this. But now that that's blocked off, and the fuel line is right there, I think you can see it kind of right there. I'm gonna run it on this side of the motor down here, and then zip tie it to a little bracket that's coming off the oil pan. I'll show you in a second. And then I won't have a giant dangling rubber line under the oil pan anymore, so I'm kind of excited about that. Let me show you this. So here's the hard line I was pointing at. Up the frame, little bend here. So this is, what line are we looking at? Here's the line. That's the old one. So that is just gonna go tight to the oil pan where the factory one was, to a motor mount probably, somewhere where I can get a zip tie or bracket or whatever. And then right to that, and then I won't have that. This is how it looked before. We had this line under here, it just looked stupid. I hated it. So that's how we're gonna do it this route, and then the whole fuel system will run down the driver's side and be a lot cleaner, and I'm not gonna worry about the fuel line catching on a stick or something. So we're doing an improvement. I'm honestly pretty happy about it. So we have that left, and then I'll wire this pump up, and then it'll start up, I hope. So there is our block off plate. It's chrome, so it's looking sweet. Imagine the air filter. You'll never see it. I threw a little, there's a gasket on that, and I threw a little RTV around it just a little bit, so we shouldn't have any problems with that. And then under here, I think I showed you, we got it grounded, pump grounded to its, just a bolt through the frame, and then the positive wire quickly run along the wiring harness and up to through the firewall. And now I'm gonna mess with the ignition switch for now. Eventually I'll be putting a switch panel in this for stuff like this, and I'll probably hook this up so you just push the button for fuel pump and then turn the key. But for now, I'm just gonna hook it up to the ignition switch, so I gotta find out which one of these turns on. I think it's those two. I don't know, honestly, I don't know. So I gotta throw the battery back in, and then this thing should start pumping fuel, and we should be ready to go. Well guys, the electric fuel pump is good. The Jeep was doing the, I didn't record it, I'm sorry, I'm still bad at this YouTube thing. I get frustrated and then I try not to throw my phone and I don't record. So I started it with the electric pump and it did the exact same thing. It ran with me giving it gas. It pretty much floored, and it ran on like 2 cylinders at a time. It was the weirdest sounding, it sounds like a blown up motor pretty much is the only way I can describe it. I should have recorded it, I'm sorry. But yeah, so that rules out everything because we have a new fuel filter, fuel pump, spark plugs, rebuilt distributor, everything but the carburetor. So I'm gonna say that there was something wrong with the carburetor, and I'll show you what I did. I was standing here, I'm like, okay, well, it's the carb. I took the top off, I blew the jets out, didn't do anything. And I looked up on the shelf and I saw the Motorcraft 2100 that came on this, that I rebuilt. And during rebuilding it, I found that it had huge cracks down the venturis. And because of a Junkyard Digs video with a F100 he had, I knew that these never idle when they have the cracked venturis. So that being said, I put the rebuilt carb on with the cracked venturis, and it, you know, with the screws all the way out, it kind of ran. But then I ended up ordering probably making a mistake, and I got like a Black Friday Amazon Motorcraft carb. It was like $100 maybe, and it obviously worked. I mean, we drove it in the grass and drove it around here a few times, but it misfired, it never ran right. So out of confusion, I grabbed it off the shelf and I put it back on. So this is where we're at right now. Yeah, the original carb from the truck is back on with the venturis out of the Chinese carb. And they fit right in and it worked. I don't know if this screw would make any difference. I use the original. I'll get that. I use the original one. You know, it doesn't matter. But here is the venturis. If it'll focus. Probably gotta go in the light. So these are the venturis out of the original carb. You can see it kind of cracked there. There you can see it. That one's cracked pretty bad. And this one is cracked all the way down. It's huge. And that is the idle one, actually. Oh, I took the gasket with. That might be an issue. Okay, well. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. And I'm gonna fire it up with the old carb on for you guys because I just had it running. It'll actually run better than, it's not doing the thing where it's picking cylinders. It fired right up and it'll run on every cylinder and revving it up, it rips. But it's blowing smoke like crazy and it won't really run without choke. And the choke on this thing is shot, as you can tell. I can't even hook it up. It's the mechanical like heat one. Yeah. So if this ends up working out, I'll take the choke off the Chinese carb too, maybe. I don't know what I'll do. But let me start this up so you guys can hear it. It won't idle. I have the screws backed out, 2.5 turns. Shouldn't really have to go more than that, and it won't really idle. If it does, it kind of sounds like there's a huge cam in it. So yeah, let me just show you where I'm at. So yeah, pretty much it still doesn't run great, but I'm kind of figuring out the problem. This is really starting to drive me nuts, but I'm getting somewhere. It just needs a good carb put on it. It's got a rebuilt 66 carb or Chinese carb are my two options here. So if I had like a 2-barrel Holly or something, it would probably fix everything. But I got, you know what we're working with. So let me start it so you guys can hear it, and I'll quit talking. So like I said, I did just have it running. So our temps are it's already at like 185. So obviously this is not a cold start, but it's now I can't really hold the choke with my hands and start it nicely by myself. So this is a warm start. Hopefully it runs for you guys. Kinda idle. Maybe you just got a huge cam and nobody told me, but I don't think that's right. I hear a vacuum leak. I heard a massive vacuum leak when I walked away from it. You guys could probably hear it on the video because that was kind of loud. Let me look around if I missed any vacuum ports, because that would definitely cause an erratic idle. That would be really sick if it would run after this. But yeah, with this carb on, that's why I gave up and I got this $100 carb, because I didn't really know. This is my first carbureted vehicle. I don't know a ton. So I thought, yay, $100 carburetor, what's the difference? Well, it's junk. It's obvious it's junk. So this is the best it ran with this carb, so I don't know what we can I don't know. I'm gonna look at it, and maybe this vacuum leak would help. But obviously you hear the electric pump going. That's done. Let me show you again. She's ripping, and it's obviously working really good. It filled the bowl in like 1 second, so that's good. We did a mod and a repair at the same time. All right, let me look for this vacuum leak and I'll get back with you guys in a second. So, I found a small vacuum leak. I think it was the choke port, the little metal thing for the thermal choke, the intake manifold, came off with the other carb. So I put that on, I hooked up the choke, and believe it or not, it worked. I didn't think it worked, but it does. And yeah, it just won't idle. So I'm gonna go home before I freak out and Google some stuff and try to figure out why this thing won't idle. It might still be a Venturi issue. I put the gasket from the other one in here. I did any weird thing I thought might work. It just won't idle. And I have the mixer screws out 3 turns. I mean, it shouldn't take more than that. I have messed with them and it's not changing anything. I can't find any other vacuum leaks. I'm kind of getting frustrated with it. So I'm going to call it a night out here. And I will catch up with you guys next time I work on this thing. Alright guys, so with the stock carb back on, still won't idle. Still won't run right. It's not right. Something's terribly wrong with it. And just for the fact that I think it's the carburetors giving me the problem, we are going to go to carburetor number 3. I know, it's pretty sad, isn't it? My friend had a 2100 Motorcraft laying around. It looks like it was freshly rebuilt. The seals, gaskets, everything on it are really good. So it says it was in a box. He doesn't really know about it, but it's never had fuel through it. So I'm going to block off the extra, this must be a newer one, the vacuum ports on it. And then I'm gonna get to slapping this on and just pray that this thing runs, because I'm about fed up with it, as you can probably tell. So I'm gonna get that going and we'll see what happens. All right, this carb is on. The only thing I'm seeing wrong, which I can probably figure out how to adjust, I don't really know. Look at the throttle cable. This is know if it's just tilted back further. It's exactly the same as the other one. But, I mean, it's awful. I don't know how to adjust that. Oh, I can probably move this. Okay, I'll figure it out. But right now I'm gonna see if it runs anyways. My hand's using on the throttle, whatever. All right, let's try it. All right, no fuel leaks. Whoa. That ran smooth at really high RPMs. Must be the choke adjustment. Alright, I found the adjustment for this. It's just a screw over there. It's the idle cam or whatever. I don't know, forgot. Adjusted that and listen to this thing. It's actually working. So I'm going to shut it down, put the idle screw to the adjustment screws in, and then back them out 2 turns and adjust it so it's right with my vacuum gauge. Guys, I'm so pumped. I switched the bracket around, got this tight, the choke's still on, I just started it. The gauge is being good, a couple more adjustments. I'm gonna let it warm up, idle down, make a couple more adjustments, and then we'll try to drive it. But it sounds good. It's as good as it can. So I think we may be able to drive it today. I'll let you know in a second. Let me adjust this, let it warm up a little bit, and I will be right back with you guys. Well guys, I'm in the next subdivision over. It's driving. Let's try to grab second here. I'm not going fast enough. It's so hard with the gas pedal falling out of the floor. We're gonna keep it in first till we get back. Oh my God. I'm alone and I'm shaking, but I did it. It's on the road, boys. All right, I'm gonna stop here. We got our brakes. They are working. Little grind. Look at the sunset, perfect day. I'm shaking if you can tell. It's not just the truck shaking, it's me. All right, so the garage is over there. Everything's running good. I don't know why I'm so panicking. But we're gonna go out on the main road, don't tell the cops, see how far we can make it back to the garage. Our temps are looking good. We are under 190 and we have 20 pounds, 15 pounds of oil pressure. All right, let's start this. Can't turn this thing with one hand. Granny first is so low. Oh. Here we go, boys. Let's see what she'll do. It's got pops and crackles like the freaking Audi does. Ooh. Brakes are good, brakes are good. Oh my God, we did it. Whew. That was a short first drive, but I don't care. This thing hit a blacktop road for the first time in 21 years. I've driven it around the grass. I mean, you can see the tire tracks from the old carb, well, the new carb, I guess you could say, that we had on the thing. But yeah, I had the fire extinguisher ready to go. The idle is a little high because I need a better return spring. This thing's just shaking. Look at it. You can't tell on the camera. So I got to get a stronger return spring on it because on this carb it was a little the throttle's a little different, so it's stuck a little bit. I don't care. We drove down the road. Next up, I think I need to get these freaking pit bulls off of this thing and put the turbines and Cooper Discoverers back on it. There'd be a little, I don't know why I would do the first drive on these humongous balloon mud tires. And they're rubbing too, so I can't really turn. So I think it'd definitely run a little better on them. This thing's ready. I'm so hyped. I can't believe that car fixed it. No fuel leaks, nothing. It needs an exhaust. It's not misfiring anymore with the Chinese carb on there. It had a bad misfire because I was just, the time I went around the grass there, it kind of started just, you could hear it missing and feel it. You feel the whole truck shake. And now it's just rough because of that exhaust. So I don't know if I'm gonna try to get these manifold bolts out. I mean, you got there's a little noise coming out of here, no smoke. I had this thing almost to the floor, no smoke, we're good. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna try to get those manifold bolts out. I don't know what I'm gonna do. It needs manifold gaskets yesterday. But yeah, I don't really know how this video is gonna pan out now because I've been here and swapping carbs and doing all sorts of stuff. But this is gonna do it. We did the first drive in the 66 Kaiser J2000 in 21 years. Sat in a junkyard, sat in a scrap yard, sat in a junkyard, had all the parts ripped off of it, and it's still on the road. Can't kill it. I'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Have a good night.